boxes because I wasn't going to send the speakers back because they were just good speakers. I mean, no reason to send them back and get smaller ones. Like, so I got some wood speaker boxes for those, and then I got some smaller of the same speaker to put in the speaker boxes that the speakers didn't fit. So those are all mounted in the boxes today. So they'll go in the Jeep as soon as I order an amp, and I need 2 more speakers to put in doors because the guy who had the doors actually put speakers in the half doors.
Huh.
And
That's pretty
so,
handy.
yeah, so I figured, well, the speakers that are in there are probably junk since I looked at them and um, the inside of the speaker is rusted,
Oh
and I
yeah, no, that's no
looked
good.
at the back, and probably uh, the magnet on the back is rusted. So I'm figuring, no, these speakers aren't probably that good anyway. So if I've upgraded the other ones, I might as well go upgrade those. And I know I have 2 new in the dash speakers that are new that are going to kick out some pretty good watts. So I need an amp. So I'm going to have 8 speakers in this thing. I don't know why I did that, but I put 8, I ended up with 8 speakers in it. So at least when I'm rolling down the freeway with no roof, I'm going to be able to hear my music.
There you go. You know, that's one of the problems with my Jeep is I know the speaker on my side on the driver's front door, well, I've got a 2-door, so it's on the driver's door, is out. And I replaced both the speakers when it wasn't working and realized that it probably wasn't the speaker. There was a wire shorting out somewhere. And I think instead of trying to retrace where the wire's out, I might as well just run new speaker wires. It's just trying to pull apart those body wiring harnesses is going to be a nightmare. So that's
Yeah,
something eventually I will have to do.
yeah, it's not worth it. Just go down to Craigan's or whatever, and they'll have a roll of actual
Just regular speaker
regular,
wire.
regular speaker wire, and they're
Yeah.
already, they're connected, and they don't have connections on them, but they have the wires already together, so you don't have to try to run 2 different wires, and just run it in, and that's what I did. I bought extra wire, and I have
There you
it
go.
sitting there ready to go. So all I have to do is hook up, put my own crimp connectors on it, and I don't have to worry about any of the other wiring, which a lot of that I tore out when I did uh, the fuel injection.
You know, I may have some speaker wire laying around from other projects. I'll have to go dig through it. See, the problem about moving so often is that I don't actually unpack many of the boxes. If it's not something that I know I need in the near future, I'll just leave it boxed up because here in a couple months I'm going to be moving again. But I think I may have some laying in probably the bottom of my big tool chest. I'll have to go look. But I know one thing I do need to get taken care of here pretty soon. Excuse me. I was trying to repaint some of the toe shackle, and one of the shackles is hooked up to my winch cable, and that's what keeps the cable tucked up nice and tight. And I went to power out the cable, and it powered out for less than half a second. You could hear it start running and then click, shut off. So something in the control box popped. So I'm hoping it's just a relay. I can pull the cover off, maybe visually see which one smoked out, or I'll have to get the multimeter and pin it out and figure out what's going on.
That'll be the fastest way at the meter.
Yeah.
Most
Well, there is I don't know that it could have burned up that fast because I had just turned it on, plugged in the controller, hit the button, and just like that, popped. So I don't know what it is, but I'll have to diagnose that. I didn't really need the winch at the time. Like I said, I was just trying to take care of some cosmetic stuff. There's a little bit of corrosion left over from New York still on those. They're just D-rings, so it's no big deal. But Uh,
Yeah, just hit them, hit them with some.
Good old Rust-Oleum. Get the what do they call it? The Krylon tune-up.
Yeah, I guess you could do that, but you know what? If you know, for me, I would probably, because you don't know where you're going next, and so I would say if you're going to keep, I know you want to keep that Jeep. So,
Yeah.
I strongly object to you getting rid of that Jeep because as soon as you
You
get
and
rid of
everybody
it,
else.
the girls are going to be in college and you're going to be going, I wish I didn't sell my Jeep. I'll
Yep.
tell you right now, that's the way it's going to be because that's the way it was with my Ram Charger. When I totaled my Ram Charger, I set out to find another one. I didn't find one, so I said, oh, well, I'll just get this truck for now, but I'll keep my eye out. I still don't have another Ram Charger.
Oh
So, and
man.
I love that thing. And when I totaled it, it was a heartbreak. But getting rid of I just got let's see, 7 years ago I had a Durango, and I loved that thing. I had to get rid of it because of the gas mileage.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't get rid of it. I really wish I had kept that truck right now. It'd be paid off. It would be this, but I traded in on a small car. I regretted it every day since.
Well, there's nothing really pressing me to get something else, just because it's very rare that I have to cram the whole family in there. And if I end up doing that, then the dog just doesn't get to go if everybody's going. So
Oh, you could always find a place for him. On one of the kids'
I
lap.
could.
Yeah.
So I've blogged about this a lot while I was in Afghanistan, just trying to make a decision on what to do. And I know what I want to do. I know that I want to build one of those Explorer box trailers on like a Harbor Freight or a fabricated. Just take it to a shop and say, hey, build me a frame, these dimensions, this specs and everything, and throw an axle under it, build a box. Then I'd have all my camping stuff in the trailer, put a rooftop tent on it, and I'd be good to go. But I always run into the problem is whenever we're moving across the country, I don't want to have to drive two vehicles. And the Jeep rides on a flatbed trailer when we're going across country and not coming back. And I can't have the Jeep on a trailer and the trailer still fit. I can't fit them both on. It's a 16-foot trailer.
Just took it to the other trailer. My buddy does it. He has a flatbed. He's got a dually pickup. He tows his girlfriend's Jeep on a flatbed, and then they have a pop-up tent or a pop-up tent trailer that he hooks to the back of his flatbed, and he just chucks down the road.
Always going forward, never trying to reverse.
Well, yeah.
With a land train like that.
Yeah, with a land train. I have to admit, he used to be a former truck driver.
Well, he's probably got some good skill then.
Yeah, but I mean, it really isn't that much difference. Honestly, you just can't. You have to just can't really back up. But yeah, you can still do it.
But
I
have to check that out.
I do have an option for you.
What's that?
Instead of a hard one, you can get a soft trailer. Now, I've seen these ones that are a two-axle trailer, no, a single-axle trailer, sorry, that can actually hold a quad. You pull the quad off, the sides, the top tread area where the quad fits folds out like this, folds out to the sides, and a tent pops up on the inside of it.
You know what? I've seen those.
And
That's a pretty cool idea.
And they're really a decent price. And the nice thing is if you do, you can just you put a lift on the trailer to get it up a little bit higher, and you can take it pretty much anywhere. If you and you can store all your gear on top. You don't have to store any gear in the Jeep. Still tow it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be really heavy. And then when you get where you get that, wherever you're getting, you just unload your cargo, pop open the tent, and then if you eventually, you know, the girls get older and you guys start buying motorcycles or quads or a side-by-side or something, you can put it right on top of it and it won't damage the tent, and you still have a good trailer to use both ways.
Well, and you know, the other thing I had thought about was doing like a modular system. So once I get an Explorer box built, have it be where I could separate it from the frame and break it down into sections, little pieces that are a little more easy to, I don't know. I mean, the movers will take some things up to a certain size. So like a bare trailer frame, they would take that, and then the storage box, they could take that separate. That way it's not necessarily one giant camping trailer. So that's another alternative to try. I don't know.
True.
I'd also like to see, I've seen some people building their own teardrop style trailers, and that was really appealing. I'll have to check that out too.
Yeah, these guys. This is the ones that...
yeah. Now, you saw them, the hardtop. This is a good transition. We can start talking about the Sandsport Super Show. You were just there pretty recently.
Yes.
So, first off, tell me about the hardtop tent, and then we'll talk about the rest of the show.
The hardtop tent, I met these guys. They were over in the RV area. The Sandsport Expo was down in Costa Mesa, California. It was on, I forgot what days it was on. It was 2 weeks ago, September.
It was the end of September.
End of September.
Yeah.
That show is wild. This is the second year I've gone. It is a wow. I mean, cannot believe how many people go to this show. It's amazing. I would not think that we have the big. I guess because there's Glamis out there. I mean, Glamis is so close to LA. It's so big. I wouldn't think this show is that big, but they cover mostly the side-by-sides. That's the big thing the last 2 years. I didn't see many quads. I saw a couple of quads, a couple of motorcycles. I did see they had an old school section. Whoa, the old school section. Nice. Wow, these things are scary. No outside cage. One was just a Volkswagen, literally the bottom of a Volkswagen. That was it. It was the bottom chassis, and it actually had, from the side of the frame, it had a post that came up, and it was bent over to where the driver was, and then the steering wheel. And there was nothing else on this frame.
Just a rolling death trap.
Oh, completely. No roll bar, just the seat. That was it. And the engine sticking out the back. But they had a couple of cool things like that, the old schools. They had one, it was I had pictures of it. I think I posted them on Facebook. One with it's an old school where it's all square tubing, and it had a V8, and then it had dual paddles on each side, so it had dual sets of tires right next to each other, not one in front, one back.
Wow.
No, like a dually, side by side. These things had to be probably about 3 feet wide on either side of the buggy, and
there were paddle tires.
Paddle tires, and it was a tandem seat. So the driver was in front and the passenger was in the back. And then the roll cage, I can't even say it was a roll cage. It was a square bar that went up, over, and down over the passenger. The driver didn't even have any protection. If this thing went over,
wow.
And you're strapped in, so there was no place to go. If it went over, you're going to be hurting.
Wow. But I know that I did see some of those pictures. They had some really, really nice sandrails there.
Oh yeah, gorgeous sand rails, uh, about 100 grand at some of them.
Ooh.
They're gorgeous machines, and it was fun just walking around talking to people. I ran into people that I ran into the year prior, and they remembered me, and they were like, "Oh, hey,
Nice.
how's it going?" This and that, and so,
You know,
and
it
they
dawns
have,
on me. Sorry to interrupt. It dawned on me that we have some listeners that may not be familiar with what a sandrail is.
oh,
And I think you have one parked in your garage, don't you?
yes, I do. It's an old school buggy. Sandrails vary in type and size. I mean, literally, some are the old Volkswagen. They just take an old Volkswagen Bug, cut it up, take the fenders off, put a cage inside of it, and just make the suspension longer. Sometimes not even that. They just try to put bigger tires on it and then just take it out and run because they're so light. They just stay on top of the sand. And
Yeah.
then they have other ones that look like the Baja trucks. Some are going that way. It's just like um, a two-wheel drive Baja truck, and instead of dirt tires, they put sand tires on it.
There you go. Yeah, I know they've brought some of the trophy trucks. Robbie Gordon's always taking his out, or he used to anyways. I don't know if he does anymore. Um, and a sandrail essentially is as much horsepower as you can fit on a as light as possible tube frame. Usually without body panels, a lot of open air and sand in your face. Every time I see those guys blasting across the sand, they are full goggles up and like earmuffs or the headphones on so they can talk to the other
Yeah,
people in the car with them. It's a radio intercom system
yeah,
because
radio
there's no way
intercom.
you're not going to hear over a Chevy 350 with straight pipes, wide open throttle.
Yeah, sometimes with turbos. I mean, these some of those ones they're kicking 1,000 horsepower, 2,000 horsepower out of a go kart. I mean, literally, these things are as light as uh, a Miata. Figure a
With that much
Miata with
horsepower,
1,200 horsepower. That's what it's
skipping
like.
across the sand.
Oh yeah, I have mine is a Volkswagen motor. It's a 2180 running methanol, and it will literally, if you put too much gas in it and you dump the clutch, she will stand straight up on you. And she's done it to me twice. I was fooling around. I thought I'd be cute, and I was sitting. We were my friends. We like to drag across the sand, so we were all stopped, and we were all revving our motors to see who was fastest down the beach. Somebody said go. I dumped the clutch, and everybody else is gone, and I'm looking straight up at blue sky. I'm going, oh, this ain't good.
That's funny. Yeah, I know some of them don't have real floor panels or anything, just so they can, once they hit that wheelie, they can still see where they're going.
Well, the nice thing about it is a lot of buggies. It's funny because they're so light. You actually do not want a locker in them. You want a open diff because what you do is they actually have steering brakes. They'll have two handles, and mine has them. Has two different handles, one for the left brake, one for the right brake. And I have one, and I step down in the middle that hits both at the same time, but I have one that's steering. So as I'm going up a dune, if I turn the wheel, and I won't turn sometimes, because if I'm in throttle, my front of my buggy's hopping. And if I need to turn, I need to reach down and hit one of those brakes, which will lock whichever side I'm trying to go to. And when I lock it, then it actually pushes me around. And it can get, if you're not paying attention, it will freak you out. My buddy did it a couple of times to me when I first got it. He was actually the first one to stand a wheelie in it. He drove it out, and we drove it back to camp. he wasn't right when I bought it. I actually bought it at Pismo from a guy, and one of my friends hooked the trailer to his truck, and then my buddy and his wife jumped in my new buggy that I just bought, and I still had my truck. So I was driving my truck back. We got back to camp, and he's putting around, testing it out, and he goes, "Hey, this thing's pretty cool." He pulls out. I said, "What is he doing?" And I just hear him revving the motor up, and I figure he's just going to launch. He wants to see how hard it'll launch. And everybody wanted to see how well it launched. I mean, it had a 2180 on it. It's running methanol. This thing should launch really well. He dumped that clutch. That thing stood up on the back end, and we're all just all,
Wow.
So, that was kind of funny. But back to the Sandsport Expo. They not only do they'll only do Sandsport stuff. Can't remember where the camera is. Speed, off-road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were there.
With the Stadium Super Trucks?
Yeah, the Stadium Super Trucks were actually there.
Nice.
They actually did a stadium race that same night. They do one Saturday and they do one Sunday. I was there Saturday, and I got this guy's card, John.
We'll have to give him a call.
And I'm going to try to set up hopefully some interviews with the Speed, with him and the drivers. Hopefully we can get some of the drivers to do some interviews with us, and I thought that would be cool, so I got his card. And
right on.
The best thing, we were talking about the hard top, and we never got around to it. This we have to get back to. I came across this in the trailer section. It's a rooftop tent, and it's got a hard shell, so it's like one of the.
Well, when most people think of rooftop tents, they probably think of like the ARB or the Simpson ones, where it folds open.
No, this one pops straight up. This one
actually, the footprint of the entire tent is contained under that hard shell.
Yeah, it pops straight. Well, it can pop up front to back or back to front, depending on. So it can
like a triangle.
It can do a triangle, but it can also do a full. It can pop up fully square, or I should say, in this case, oval. Not oval. Rectangular.
It's a big cube tent.
Yeah. And it's 6 feet, 6.5 by 5.
Okay.
So 6.5 by 5. I think
probably
it's
like the size of a double bed.
Yeah. Well, the pictures show three people sleeping in it, 2 adults and a child between them.
Well, that is a way to sleep. Not certainly the most comfortable.
Yeah, on their sides too. So yeah. But the nice thing,
you got some good zippers, so you can't roll out the edge.
Well, they have a view portal in the front and a view portal in the back. The sides you can crawl in through either side. It comes with a ladder, a collapsible aluminum ladder, a pad on the inside, and then you can get other options. The funny thing about it is since it's a hard top and hard bottom, you can actually put a rack on top of this item, and you can put a kayak on top of it. You can put bicycles on top of it.
There you go.
Okay, of course, not when it's up.
Not when it's deployed.
Not when it's deployed. You have to pull the bikes and the kayak, or maybe even another storage rack on top of it. You have to pull what's in the storage rack out. But
that's still pretty handy.
Yeah, but I haven't seen any that actually. Any other? I haven't seen anything else like it. It wasn't
I've
really
seen one.
expensive.
I've seen one. I think it was like Air Pop or Air Topper or something, but it was like $3,000, $3,000 or $4,000, which I thought was quite a bit for a rooftop tent, you know. But I think I looked at the hard top when you sent it to me, and they
Yeah,
were significantly less than that.
yeah, they had, and I called him. I said when we were talking about it, and I called him and I said, hey, I was looking at your pricings, but your pricing's not there. He goes, well, I had my guy take the price down off the website because I was giving a different price at the show, so we didn't want him
Okay.
to conflict. Because if you said you were from the show or you went to the show, you could get the same price as the show, even though it was on the website, at least for
Yeah.
a couple of months or a month or two, and then the price would go back up, or whenever he decided to repost the price. And I think it was like $2,500 or somewhere in that range.
Yeah, something like that.
But then I've looked at the regular rooftop tents, and they're in like the 16 to 18 range. So
Yeah,
well,
and those other ones, you can get a little more uh, square feet, but it doesn't have that hard
you
top
can't
stuff.
put anything on top of it as
You know,
extra storage.
and here while we're talking about it, I'm Googling around, see if I can pull up their website. And it reminded me there is a thread that I've been following. We started off talking about trailers and stuff. One of the forums that I am on occasionally is the T Venturing. I think that's what it is. It's kind of a companion to the Danute trailers and the compact camping concepts. The same Scott Cheney that makes the Explorer box. There's a guy on there who's come up with some modular fiberglass parts that he's designed, and he has put together a ton of really cool designs, and he has put together a DIY kit where you can kind of build your own tent like that. Now, it doesn't do the full straight up and down like the
Yeah.
hard top, but it does that triangle where it's got like the front end down to the back end down and the other side up. So I don't know if they've got any pricing for that, and it certainly would be quite a bit of work to build your own. But you
Yeah.
could probably get it for a lot less. I would
Well,
be willing to
if
guess.
if anybody of our viewers are interested in these guys and they decide to get one, um, let them know that the 4x4 podcast steered you to them, and
Yeah.
because I talked to the guy and he said, they would throw some money our way if we can get them some sales. For every sale,
There you go.
we would make some money off these. Not just because I just thought it was a cool idea. I thought since, you were into that overlanding, Dan, you love it, and something for the XJ guy that I would think if you're going to do that event you did a couple of years
Oh yeah, in
years
Vermont.
ago, the Vermont Overland, if you were to have this on top of your Jeep, it wouldn't have been that bad of a trip. I mean,
No, I wouldn't have been sleeping in the
anyways, I mean,
mud.
but this, you wouldn't have been sleeping in the mud, and then all you have to do is pop it back down, hit two
Yep.
straps. There's no folding it in. It's just pulling it down 4 straps, and you're off to the next adventure. You rub this thing up against a tree. It's not, or rub it up against tree limbs. It's not going to tear the fabric like it possibly could on one of those soft ones.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. This would probably be a good option for you.
That's pretty cool. We'll definitely have to put links to that in the show notes. The hardtop camper or hardtop tent that works like a camper. Well, all right. So a while back, we're transitioning here to our feedback segment. I had got an email from Kevin, who I'd met down in Nashville, and he was asking about how to do coffee in the backcountry. Because as we all know, coffee is an essential part of outdoor life, especially when you're cold, trying to hang out and shake off the frost from your nose. Want to have a nice hot drink. And so I've got the way that I've done it. I know I've done it different ways in the past, and we'll just talk about that a little bit. And Craig, I don't know how much experience you've had making coffee out in the back country like this, but
I have to be honest. I swear, I hate coffee. I
oh
don't.
well, you know what? It
I
grew on me. I used to work in a coffee shop when I was in college actually, and I didn't drink any. I loved how it smelled, but I couldn't stand the taste. Now, I am a multiple cups a day drinker of
okay.
coffee.
I cannot stand the taste, and I cannot stand the smell.
Well, then
So
maybe you won't be much help in this discussion.
no, I will not. I'm sorry. I am hot chocolate guy. When
Well,
I'm
there you go.
hot chocolate.
Well, and since you mentioned hot chocolate, the very first thing we're going to talk about is the instant, and that's the same way you'd make hot chocolate. Is you just boil the water, and then there's, I don't know, a million different types of instant coffee mixes, where you just tear the top of the packet off, pour it in the cup, stir it, and let the coffee dissolve or the coffee crystals. There's lots of kinds. I know one of the favorites is the Via from Starbucks, but it is still instant coffee. You know, the one good thing is that you boil the water and you're done. You can do that right in your coffee cup if you've got one of those steel or titanium, one of those that you can just put right on the stove. But those are generally single servings, and I don't know about Kevin or anybody else, but usually if I'm making coffee out in the woods, I'm not going to have just one cup. And odds are I'm not by myself either, so there's that.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I can help in one perspective. The last trip I went on, we went to the Rubicon for my club's cleanup and open of our trail.
uh-huh.
Uh, One of my guys has a propane coffee machine. It's an outdoor coffee.
Wow.
So it's
That
you
guy
know
takes his coffee serious.
the the screw-in gas propane that you'd use for your
Yeah, like a 5-pound tank or a
yeah, the little
20, 15.
little 5 pound green tanks that you put in the
Just a little Coleman camp stove or something.
yeah yeah it's a I think it's a Coleman, actually I think it is a Coleman coffee maker.
It wouldn't surprise me, man. Coleman makes everything for, if it's cooking and it's outside, Coleman makes something for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, and it had the filter and the whole thing. So that's the only thing I can tell you. My buddies love their coffee, and I'm just like, I'll just do my hot chocolate. Thank you very much. I'm good.
You know what? I just looked it up, and sure enough, Amazon's got them. It's like a 10-cup instant coffee maker. It's a little on the steep side. I think they're listing the price out for, looks between 40 and 85. Oh, good Lord, that one's $102. That's somebody that takes their coffee real serious. That is certainly not how I do it. Another way you can do it is a French press, and you can get those for a lot cheaper. As a matter of fact, just this last weekend, I was at IKEA and saw they've got the French press for like $10. And so how a French press works is you get your water nice and hot, pour that into the French press, and it's essentially a glass flask, I guess is what you'd call it, just a round cylinder type glass. And then there's a press part, and it's like a steel mesh with some wire running around to help keep the mesh plunger centered. And you let the coffee steep in the water for a couple minutes, depending on how long you want the coffee or how strong you want your coffee. And then when you're ready to serve it, you take the plunger and you slowly push it down, and that pushes all the grinds to the bottom of the French press and leaves all the grind-free water or coffee now where you can just pour it into your cups and serve. And that seems to work pretty well. I'm not a real big fan of that just because it's glass, and I don't like to have glass on the trails if I can avoid it. I would prefer something a lot more durable. So, but that's one way, and it's simple. The same thing is just as fast as you can boil water, you can have French press coffee. Another method is also pretty pretty speedy and efficient. It's like the pour through type, and there's basically what it is. You boil water again, and there is a individual filter holder that will go above the cup, and you just pour the grinds into that filter and pour the water on top of that, and it'll just drip through, and you'll have your coffee. And that's going to be basically just like a regular old coffee maker would be at home, unless you use a Keurig. I don't know. I've never seen somebody use a Keurig on the trail, but I have seen some of these glamping, the super glamorous camper setups where they've got a Keurig somehow mounted inside that camper trailer. But
well, all you need is batteries and an inverter.
Yeah, I mean that is one way to do it. But again, that's a $100 coffee maker, and I don't know. It's not how I do it.
Plus $100 inverter, plus $400 worth of batteries.
Yep.
For just a cup of coffee.
And then you still have that little plastic cup when you're done. Yeah. You either have to haul them in and haul them out, or find a dumpster or something like that. So that's a little bit of a headache.
You get the ones that are refillable. There are refillable ones.
Yep, so I've got those here. My wife uses those.
Yeah, so does mine.
But what I end up using is the percolator, the tried and true. It's like the Flex Steel percolator. It looks like coffee, like an old school. I mean, basically that's what it is an old school coffee maker. And so you pour the water into the percolator, and then inside it's got a little aluminum tube with a dome base piece, and there's a little notch on the aluminum tube that has the basket, and inside that basket it's just got little perforated holes in it so that the coffee grinds don't go through. And so when you get coffee for a percolator, just make sure you get a percolator grind. It's a little less fine, so that way the grinds don't pass through and you have coffee grinds in your coffee. And then it's got a lid that has perforations on top. So once you got all that put together, you just put it on the stove or right in the campfire, depending on how you're camping there. And that's one of the things I like about it, is it's super versatile. You put it on any type of heat source, and once it starts getting to a rolling boil, the water comes up through that aluminum tube and kind of splashes onto the lid of the coffee maker, and then comes back down through the grinds through that little percolator basket. And you just let it go until it gets to the strength that you're looking for, and then you're good to go. I try to remember to pull out that whole percolating mechanism before I start serving the coffee, because once you start tilting it, you have grinds that will kind of fall out, and it doesn't bother me. I know some people don't like having that grit in their coffee, but I figure that's just one extra way to get the caffeine in the system. just chew on it.
Put it between your cheek and gum.
Yeah, just take a spoonful of the coffee grinds and put them right in your mouth. Skip the water. You'll be good to go.
Oh, no, I don't. At least the water, wash it down.
Yeah, don't do that. It will not be good, I promise. But the percolator, I keep that in my chuck box, and so it gets bounced around with the pots and pans and everything else. And it's been in there since I've had the chuck box. I had that before I actually built the chuck box, and it is no worse for the wear. It's got a nice, it's been well seasoned, we'll say. It's no longer green on the inside and outside. The inside's getting pretty dark from as many pots of coffee, and that was essential. When I first moved in here, the movers hadn't showed up with all of our kitchen stuff, but we moved in anyways. So I just pulled the chuck box out, and I think I mentioned this on a past show, but it worked great because I had everything that we needed to run the kitchen right there in the chuck box with all the camping gear.
I saw some pictures of. I think you put some pictures up.
Yeah.
You cooking in the backyard or cooking, out of the chuck box for dinner.
I actually had it sitting on the counter inside the house. I mean, it was a big empty house, but we had the kitchen running. It was great. So hopefully that answers your your question, Kevin. If you have any other questions, just send them over here, and I'll see what we can do, especially the ones that deal with cooking food and preparing food in the backcountry. So next up is our off-road aptitude, where we talk about an app that you can use while off-roading or getting your stuff together. And we haven't done this segment in a while, and of course I don't have any bumper music for it. But this is one that I was using as I was looking to purchase a new vehicle. One of the key things when I was looking at vehicles was the towing capacity. And I looked around to try and figure out if there was a centralized place to look up towing capacities for vehicles, and never could find just like a website that had something that was reliable and easy to read on my phone until I discovered the onlinetowingguide.com, and they have an app with all of the information for all the vehicle makes and models, going back, actually goes back to 2005. So if you're looking to pick up a vehicle older than that, then this app might not be that much help. But it's pretty simple. If you're watching us here on YouTube, I don't know if you can see that, probably not. But it's just got some drop-down menus. You just pick your year. So we'll pick, I'll go with the vehicle that we ended up buying. 2007 GMC, should have done this before we started, Yukon XL with, we picked the 1500 four-wheel drive and hit search. And there it is. It gives us the different variations. So we've got the 5.3 liter with the V8 and the 410 gears, and towing capacity 8,000 pounds. Bam. And I can just go compare side by side with all the other vehicles that I was considering, just to make sure that everything was going to meet the requirements to pull the Jeep on the trailer. So this has been a pretty handy tool, but then, like I said, if you're looking at a vehicle older than a 2005, this won't be of much help. But it's pretty handy little tool, and I don't remember how much it was. It was like $1 or something. So as far as apps goes, it's a decent price. Not a whole lot of functionality, but it does the one thing that it does pretty well. So, have you ever had to look for something like that, Craig?
No, I haven't considered that. I would just go look at the truck.
Yeah, that was the one thing. If there was a specific, yeah, if there's something specific that I was looking at, then you could just look it up on the vehicle itself. But if I was just trying to get an idea of what the different vehicles were capable of, then this app made it pretty handy, and so I can narrow down what kind of vehicle I was going to search for. But that's pretty helpful. The other thing I look for, and I think we mentioned it on the show, I went and test drove I think it was a 2012 Super Duty F250, Ford Super Duty, with the 7.3 liter diesel, and man, that is a nice truck. That is really nice.
Couldn't afford it, huh?
No. I think they were asking like $38,000, and it had quite a few miles on it for being a vehicle that was only 2 years old, which it reassures me that that means it's all done basically highway duty. There's no way you could get that many miles unless you just drove through the city nonstop, and I doubt that's what happened. But one of the other things I always look for is at the actual trailer hitch and see how scuffed up it is and how much use it's got. So that was one of the selling points for the Yukon that we ended up getting, is that it had never towed a vehicle before. So.
And Mama wanted a Suburban again, huh?
Yeah, that was also a major selling point.
Yeah.
So everybody got what they wanted.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty useful. I mean, SUVs seem to be a little bit more useful when you have a family than a regular pickup truck. It might have 4 doors, but sometimes you might need that third row seat if you got the third row seat.
Yeah.
My wife voted for the Durango when I got it, and we decided on that one because it was better because it had a third row seat. I had 2 kids, so yeah, that was the better choice because then we could just stuff everything in, and it was secure inside, not just having a pickup.
Yeah.
But now my kids are older. Yeah, my Durango's gone, but now hopefully soon it'll be a dually pickup or a 3/4 ton dually, so I can pull my Jeep around with no problems. Pulling the hills, and I don't, I want that diesel.
Yeah.
100, 200. But that's the thing is if you're gonna buy a new diesel, you're gonna pay out the nose for a low miles diesel or a new one.
Yeah.
Even some of the older ones I'm looking at going, oh my God, this thing is still 10 years old and I'm still paying over $40,000 for it because it's got less than 100,000 miles on it. And what? A diesel will go 500,000 miles?
Yeah, they hold their value really well just because of that. You can get some serious miles on those motors.
Yeah, as long as you treat them right.
Yep. Well, one of the things that I do, I don't know if my wife is going to like this, but I would like to build her a storage box for the rear. That way, it's not just stuff laying around. But I want to keep it low profile enough that you can still get the stroller in on top and have plenty of room. And ideally, what I want to do is get that storage box so that it is flush with the same height as the third row seat and that second row seats when you lay them down. Hopefully it will be a completely level surface. And so a storage box with maybe some folding panels that would fold over the top and create a nice, perfectly flat surface, roll out a foam mattress, and you can sleep in there. And then rooftop tent on top, and it's good to go. That way you still have the second row seats and the third row seats that you can use until you're ready to convert it into sleeper mode and lay everything down, and you've got that bed surface plus your storage underneath that platform for daily use and emergency stuff like jumper cables or
Yeah.
And actually we're going to be talking about on an upcoming show here about things to get rid of jumper cables.
Yep.
So just a little tease.
If you haven't seen the video.
Yeah, and you can go ahead and check that out. Go to I'll put it in the show notes. Just go to the 4x4podcast.com/85 for episode 85 here, and I'll have that video in there where I did an unboxing of the Noco Genius Boost battery, and we'll talk about that. I'm still in the testing. I wanted to make sure I gave it a thorough test before I start telling you guys about how great it is. I don't want to tell you that it's the best thing since sliced bread and instead it sucks. But so far it's been great charging up phones, taking care of vehicles. I just want to, put it through some more rigorous testing before we do a good review on it.
Dude,
so just cut over.
I got an idea. What I'd like you to do is unhook your winch from your battery, hook it to it, and do a pull on it on the winch, just on that battery, not hooked to anything else, because I tested something else like that.
That's pretty smart. That'll put a strain on any battery.
And hold it and see if it gets hot, because I did that test on another one. Do you remember the?
Yeah. Was the
anti-gravity battery? Yep. It's the same kind of concept, and it's mine. I love the anti-gravity. I was gonna talk. I'll talk more about it on a different show because I want to hear about this one. You like it? So.
Well, first off, I got to get my winch actually working, so I got to pull that thing apart and figure out what's going on.
Because what I did was
that's a good way to test it.
I was talking up my anti-gravity battery to a friend, and we were at the shop, and he was picking up a car that he was storing because we're renting part of the end of his shop.
Uh-huh.
And he was picking up a car to take over to his other shop so they could finish it. It was a '68 Camaro. It didn't have an engine in it, but it had it had the transmission in it, and the rest of the car was there. He goes, well, I need to pull this up on the trailer, and I forgot my jumper battery, so I have to run back to the other shop. Or do you guys have a jumper battery? I said, well, wait a minute. I pulled out my anti-gravity. I said, let's try this. And he goes, no. I'm like, come on, it's supposed, and I told him it was supposed to jumpstart a car up to 10 times before it dies. So I want to see what it does on this winch. Put it on the winch, pulled strong and hard. The winch never wavered, and the battery never got hot. I pulled the car flatly all the way up onto the trailer.
That's awesome. I definitely got to try that out then. Now, this one says it's good for 20 starts. So I guess I'll have to, maybe we'll have to do a towing winch test. We'll compare the anti-gravity to the NOCO.
Yeah, what we need to do is hook them to the winches, put them on a slight angle up to a tree, and we'll pull up to the tree and see which one works the better. But I know that I saw some newer ones at the Sandsport show. They have some newer models. They made models that aren't actually even smaller. Literally will fit same size as your cell phone and fit in your pocket.
Wow.
And it'll still jumpstart a car.
That's amazing.
And then there was they had a bigger one. They changed the coating on the outside. They're not. Mine is like a slippery black. It's like a gloss black. They changed them to a satin look, but it's like it's grooved, so you can grab it in your hand. If your hand's wet, you can actually hold on to this thing and it won't slip out of your hand. Or if you got it with gloves, it won't slip out of your hand. Like mine slips out if I have some kind of glove on or material, or I'm holding it with it wants to slip out of my hand. The newer ones have like a little grip to them, so they won't. And that's what I noticed about the one you showed, because it has it had like ribs down the side, so you had something to grip onto.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not, I wouldn't call it large, but you can see the size of it in comparison to my hands. And just for comparison's sake, I wear size 2XL gloves. I've got some big old bear paws. So it's got some pretty good size to it, but I wouldn't call it large. It would still fit in a glove box. You wouldn't be able to fit much else in the glove box, but it would. I think it would fit.
It's still smaller than a set of jumper cables.
Yes, it is.
Another vehicle.
Yeah, I actually carry it around in my backpack on a daily basis, just to see what kind of strain that puts on me and how much room it takes in my bag, and it's fine. Carry a laptop, a couple notebooks.
Have you tried charging your laptop off of it?
I haven't, because my laptop doesn't have the same connector, because this is a 12-volt power source, and the laptop is the 112 or 120. Sorry.
Oh wow! Because my anti-gravity one actually has a port specifically that you plug into it, and you can plug it straight into a laptop. And, and just turn it on, and it charges it.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I've charged my tablets, my phone, and that's worked great. But I haven't tried it with my laptop. My laptop is also kind of a battery slug. It stays plugged in all the time because I can get maybe 45 minutes to an hour of battery life out of that thing. So.
Well, see, that's when you get you have one of these batteries that can extend that, and that's the nice thing.
Yeah, well, I knew batteries are always kind of a headache for me, and so I don't have a MacBook. Instead, I have a laptop that has a removable battery, and so I keep a spare battery with me if I know I'm going to be working unplugged for a while. And this is, it's not heavy, maybe a pound battery. It's pretty slim. Maybe that's why I only get an hour, because it's so small. Now that you mentioned it. Now that I mentioned it. Huh. Should have thought about that when I bought the thing. Oh well. Anyways, we did say at the very beginning of the show that this episode is sponsored by Blue Ridge Overland Gear, and this time we're going to talk about the map storage bag, the map pouch. And I don't know, Craig, do you carry any of those like DeLorme map, the big atlases?
I used to, and I have a couple of them.
And you probably don't carry them because they get jacked up every time you leave them in the vehicle.
Actually, they're in my work bag. I've talked
about
this.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, that's why I have a work bag, because I have three big map books that I keep in my truck, and then I have some of the old style, just old fold maps.
Oh yeah.
The areas I cover, but now I'm realizing I got an iPhone.
You probably don't use maps much anymore.
I'm thinking that it's time to pull those maps out of my work bag, because if I need an address, I just go to my iPhone and it comes up. It doesn't always come up right, but sometimes neither does the old style map books.
That's true.
I decided to one time try to go buy the same map book I had. And literally the one I had in my bag. I wanted to go buy a newer one because the old one I have, the pages are ripped, some of them are falling out.
Yep.
I was like, okay, I'm just going to go replace this book, because at the time I didn't have an iPhone. I decided I'm just going to go buy one, so I looked it up. When I originally bought it, it was like $14.95 for this book.
Yeah.
I looked it up, and they wanted $50 for the same map book.
Whoa.
I'm like, no way am I going to do that.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the price of the other two I had, and they both had gone up like 200 to 300% to the original price. And I'm trying to think, well, why would that be? Why would they do that? Well, Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's not as much demand for them, they gotta sell them for more. So, but one of the things that I like about the maps that I've gotten, I don't get the regular road atlases. I get the ones that have the trail maps and the topographic lines on it. And that's just not something that you're gonna get from Google Maps. Anything like that. So turns out, I only keep those maps in the vehicle when I know that I'm going to be going on an adventure. But usually that's when things are going to get jacked up the most, because there's just kids kicking stuff, stepping on stuff, getting in and out. And especially if I just leave the maps in my wife's truck, odds are it's just going to get daily life worn all over it. Mm-hmm. But having the map pouch from Blue Ridge has made me a lot more comfortable about leaving the maps in the vehicle. And also, even if you're not going to use it for maps, the Haynes shop manual, that goes in there as well. So the pages may be greasy and nasty, but the pages are intact. I can open it, find all the pages, and that's those are the things that go inside that map bag. And for the price that it costs, you're talking that map book costing $50. So this pouch is right now, deal of the day price, $16, $15.99. That's a good way to protect your maps in that investment. So, and it's like everything else that Blue Ridge makes is just top notch. Top notch. It's got a Velcro closure, and then it's got a little hook and loop. Well, not hook and loop, because I guess that would be Velcro, but it's got a loop and toggle that just kind of goes through it and holds it shut. So in case the Velcro doesn't hold or something, you're still in a safety, another way to keep it closed. So definitely recommend you guys check that out. Our link is the 4x4podcast.com/Blue Ridge. Will take you right to their store. You can shop like you normally would and we'll get a little bit of credit for it to help keep the 4x4 podcast on the air. And I think that's it for episode 85. It's actually turned out to be a little longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can send us an email at the 4x4 podcast, the 4x4 podcast at yahoo.com. You can, of course, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/4x4 podcast. We're on Twitter, Instagram, the same name on all the places. But we really like hearing your voicemails and getting messages from you. So you can call us at 719-924-5337, or just go to the 4x4podcast.com, and there on the right side of the screen you'll see something that says about leave us a message. You can just click on that from your iPhone, iPad, or computer, and it'll just use the microphone built into your computer. You can record a message that way. I think it lets you re-record a message, and it gets really great audio quality, much better than you get over the cell phone lines. And we'll just get that in an email so we can check it out and answer your question, play your comment, whatever it is. So I think that's it for the show. So be safe, tread lightly, and God bless, and enjoy exploring your world. I really need to just record that thing and cut it in.
Well, don't you have it, or don't you have it from the past, or no?
I do, but I said something about getting you back on the show because I recorded it while I was doing the show on my own and didn't have the connection to support it.
All right. Oh, I'm going to have a rough time in the morning.
Yeah, I'm going to say we call it quits there.
All right.
So, I've got the day off.
Do you want to try to do 2 tomorrow?
I will play it by ear. I got to take my sister-in-law to the airport, and I don't know what time.
Well, it'll be later. I mean, at least after 4 for me because of work.
Okay.
Like California time, usually at home about 4 on Mondays. So
okay.
Put 6 there.
Yeah,
so,
shoot me a message, and when you get home, and hopefully I'll be home, we can knock out 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, well, at least knock out the expo.
At least the one for the Off-Road Expo.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right. I'll try and get these edited up. So.
I like what you did at the bottom. That looks good.
Oh yeah.